Hey, I'm Maybe Burke, and you're watching Makeup for Lost Time. This is my makeup series for trans women and other people who feel like they missed a couple of steps in learning about makeup. If this is the first video you're watching, I have a whole video covering all of the different tools that we use to apply makeup, an intro video talking about my relationship to makeup and all of those things. And today we're going to start with our first video on application, and we're going to start with eyeliner pencils, and we'll go over other kinds of eyeliner in the future as well, but I wanted to start here. I want to start with some simple things that you can do where you won't need a full face, and start in with some eye looks and some things you can wear that will look good on their own. I also decided to structure how I was going to introduce different elements of what to apply and how to apply based on what I started wearing when I was starting to implement makeup into my daily life. So when I was a teenager, I started wearing pencil liners more often in my daily life, sometimes going to school, sometimes when I would hang out with my friends and things like that, I would wear some eyeliner. And that was my first dabble in wearing makeup on a daily basis. I didn't know that was my first dabble in a lot more. It was a whole door open to talking about my identity and all of those things, but that's a whole other story. So when it comes to pencil liners, there are two different kinds of pencil liners. There's at least two different kinds of pencil liners. There are the actual typical pencil that you would have, and then there's also retractable liners that can go up and down. Retractable liners tend to be a little bit softer, where the pencil liners tend to be a little more blunt and hard, but they're not like a pencil. They still are safe to go on your eyes. And in recent years, pencils have gotten a lot creamier and a lot, not necessarily softer, but a lot more comfortable to apply. An important thing to consider with eyeliner and with all makeup in general is the color you're using. And so I don't necessarily have fun colors of eyeliners, but the retractable one that I brought up is so old, I'm not even gonna touch it. But the regular pencil liners that I will use are either a solid black, a softer brown, or a white. So the color of the pencil and the type of the pencil are really dealer's choice and personal aesthetic preference and things like that. But the application is generally going to be pretty simple. And there's a couple of different ways you can apply a pencil liner, and a couple of different places you can apply a pencil liner that'll give you some different results. So let's go over them. I'm just gonna use the black and the white to demonstrate because color choice can be really personal and based on your own preferences and or your own skin tone and the other features on your face. So I have really dark hair and eyebrows, and my lashes aren't necessarily as dark as my eyebrows, but I use black liners to match kind of the bluntness of the other features on my face. If I'm going for something a lot softer, I have the brown one that I do use occasionally. And then I use the white one in certain areas to kind of wake up or to brighten or widen the look of my eyes. And so the deep shade that is going to be similar to the other features on your face, and or a light shade that is going to do some brightening, potentially make your eye look bigger and things like that, depending on how we use it. You can use fun colors. You can use any color eyeliner. They make so many different kinds of eyeliners. You also don't have to use a white to do the lightening and brightening. They make beige and nude colored ones that you can also use in the ways that I'm going to be using the white one. Another important thing to note is how sharp your pencil is going to determine how it goes on. And so this one isn't fully sharpened. It's got a little dullness on the point. So when I apply it, it is going to still give me a solid line, but it's not necessarily like the finest line it can be, where she is not sharpened at all. She's kind of jagged and falling apart. And so if I use this white one right now, it's going to be a really thick line. And it's not necessarily, there's like some gooped up over there. So we want to make sure that we're sharpening our pencils and keeping good care of them. Not just for hygiene, but also for ease of application. And you don't need a fancy sharpener. Like I said when I was discussing tools, I have this one because of the lip pencil that I need this size for. But you can use a pencil sharpener that's built for just any pencil. Just make sure you're only using it for your makeup and you're not also using it with actual pencils. A little content warning before we dive into application. I am going to be pulling on my eyes and my lids just to be able to show you how I put on certain things. I know that's not comfortable for a lot of people to watch, so if you do have weirdness around eyes and touching, this might not be the video for you. So, in terms of application, oh my gosh, my ears are so red. Oh, it gets so warm in this room. I'm so sorry. In terms of application of eyeliners, there's really very few ways it can go on. And so I'm going to be showing you different techniques on each eye. But essentially, other than drawing fun and different shapes on your face, we've got your upper lash line and your lower lash line. We do actually also have waterline and tightline, which is the lines within our eyes that can look a little different from just the outer edge of our lash line. Now, your standard eyeliner is just going to be your dark color, so my black line. Getting it as nice and close to the lash line as you can. And you'll notice I'm going in little strokes here. I'm not just taking it and trying to draw a straight line across. That's going to be an unrealistic expectation of how this should apply. In order to get it in a good, even distribution, I'm going to go in with little flicks like that so that I have a pretty smooth line. Now, if you've seen me do my makeup before, this doesn't necessarily look as crisp and as clean as some liner that I do, and that's because I'm using different eyeliner for my upper lid usually. And that's when we'll talk about liquid liners and creams in the future. But in general, this is what you can do with some pencil liner if you're using pencil on your upper lid. You can flick out a little bit and get something of a wing. But again, it's not going to be super sharp and precise. It's just going to give you a little bit of that shape. Now, there are pencils and liners that will come with a little like smudge piece that you can also smudge your liner with. You can also just take a little brush that has a little bit of a point to it where you can go in and smudge that liner out as well. I'm going to leave it unsmudged. That's not my vibe. I just don't like a smudgy liner, but to each their own. Now, to show you some contrast, I'm actually going to take the same black liner into my lower waterline. And this is where we're going to pull down on the lid a little bit so we can expose that waterline. I am going to name that something I've realized for myself recently. I have pretty sensitive eyes, and when I put any product in my waterline, it tends to enhance the likelihood that my eyes are going to water throughout the day. And so you might find that using the waterline is actually not that effective for you and doesn't have like the benefit of the look with the longevity or the consistency that you want it to have. And that's okay. Different things work for different folks in different ways, and not everybody can wear the same things or apply the same way. But if I'm going to be going with a waterline look, I'm gonna just use my puff to move the lashes down so I can expose the waterline. And I'm just taking the pencil right in that line. And so you'll see how tight and sharp that looks. That is a lot tighter and sharper and cleaner than this liner is, because it's just going on the structure of the eye there. It's a really neat look if that's what you're going for, but again, it doesn't necessarily work for everyone. This bottom liner look is probably the first thing that I started implementing of like wearing makeup on a regular basis, because it's pretty subtle. It can kind of blend in, and also it's like guy liner and punk rock, like it could just not be a gender thing. But just that liner and a little mascara, I still do just that liner and mascara some days. Very infrequently, but it's still an option. The other way you can use your waterline is to not actually use the black, but to use your lighter highlight color. And so using your white in the waterline there is actually going to make your eye look a little bit bigger. It's going to brighten and widen your eye. Because you can see here, putting the dark color right at the edge of the eye there, it kind of closes the eye in. It narrows us, it like pulls our focus into the eye. If we add white there, it's going to add to the whiteness of your eye. It's going to make your eye look a little bit bigger. If you knew me in my 20s, I had white in my waterline almost daily. It was like kind of a signature of mine to have a white waterline. Because I have pretty small eyes, and I knew that using a light color in the waterline actually would make them look a little bit bigger and to widen them out a bit. So I'm going to take my white liner and do the same thing that we did with the black on the other side and just fill in my waterline. If you have to blink while you're going, it's okay. If you have to take breaks, you can. And you'll see that has the similar effect, but you might notice if you look at me straight on, this eye looks a little more closed in, and this one is brightened up a little bit. It is a little more open and awake. We also have the black liner on top here, but this is a cute look. The white liner on bottom, black liner on top. This is still what I wear pretty often if I'm doing my waterline. These days, I'm not actually doing my waterline as much. Now, aside from the waterline on the bottom lashes, you actually have that same line on your top lashes. It's just a little harder to access. But we're gonna go ahead and tightline. And that's what people call the top waterline. I don't know if it's technically a waterline. I don't really know the anatomy of the eye as well, but in general, when I hear folks talking, the bottom line there is the waterline and the top line is the tight line. And this is just for example purposes. I wouldn't necessarily do both on one eye. I would do an either or situation usually, or do them with different colors. But just for the sake of demonstration, we're going to tightline this one black and this one white so you can see the difference. The reason I want to do that is because you'll notice when we tightline, it actually gives a base to your lashes as well. And so it will make your lashes look a little more full at the base and at the root of them when you tightline. I already have liner on the top of this lash line, so I'm not going to do the black on this side. I want you to see the contrast on this side. Tightlining is a place where holding a compact mirror is going to be really useful. And so you're actually going to hold that mirror down a little bit from your face. You're not going to hold it up where you would have a typical mirror. You're going to hold it down and be able to look down so you can see up to where that waterline or that tight line is. I will name, I'm one of the people who does not like watching people touch their eyes. I am one of the people who does not like touching my own eye, and I'm relatively new to tightlining, so we're gonna try this together. And hopefully, if it doesn't go well, you at least have the knowledge that you could do this, and you can try it at your own risk. But I'm just gonna take this, and again, we're just gonna go in very delicately. And just rub this in. Try to get your eye as wide as you can. Did I do it? I kind of did it. You can, I don't know if you can tell. Let me know if you can tell. Maybe we'll before and after it. But I can see a more distinct and harsh line along the base of my lashes than there was before. I'm hoping the camera picks it up well as well. I'm gonna go in for a little bit more just to show us. I think you can definitely see it now. There's a harsh and distinct line where my lashes meet my eyelid. But it's not like the eyeliner we see on top of the lash line here. It's actually on that line right underneath where the lashes fall. So at this point, then if I put mascara on, it's gonna give the mascara and the lash more volume and a more full look. Now on this side, you guessed it, we're gonna do the same thing. We're going to tightline with our white liner. So same thing, I'm gonna hold my mirror under my eye and tightline. Ooh, and look here. Now there is a way to do this without looking, and you just kind of like look, you look down that way and just go at it. I do not trust myself. Now, if a concern of yours is to brighten or widen or make your eyes look bigger, this is an option. I wouldn't, again, necessarily put white on the top and the bottom. It does look a little not ideal. It's looking it's a little winter frosting. But one or the other will do the trick. I personally like the waterline better. Tightlining, the black really works for tightlining. The white, Now you can also obviously use the white liner the same way that I use the black on this top line here, but that's going to be a more like creative and editorial look that you can also do with different colors. And a lot of people use like blues and other colored liners to get that kind of a like more creative and colorful effect. But I'm just going over some basics of the ways that you can use some eyeliner to enhance the ways that your eyes look. I'm actually going to pop on some mascara so you can see how the tightlining really impacts the look of the lashes, and you can see this in a more comprehensive look. Now, you don't have to wear mascara, and we will be going over lashes and mascaras and all of those things in another video, so don't you worry about that. But I just wanted to show you a bit of a more elevated look with these liners. And I did my makeup very simple. I have very little makeup on and purposely did a very minimal look so that you could see that you could just wear the eyeliner we're talking about, right? You don't have to do a full face every day. And especially if you're just like starting out and finding what you like, a little eyeliner alone is fine. Especially if you're playing around with placement and how you want to wear eyeliner, it works out just fine. But also, look at how full my lashes look, especially at the base of this one here, because of that tightlining. And so yes, right now, each of my eyes look different because there's different technique and different application on each side. And so you can play around with what you want your eyes to look like, what you might want to highlight, what colors you might want to use. There's so many ways that you can play around. Even just with a simple pencil liner, there's a lot of different ways that you can go about it. Now, I prefer this side because I would never tightline with white, but my eye does look bigger on this side. But let me know which side you like better, and which, if any, of these techniques you have used or you would use. I hope this is a helpful place for us to start. I thought it was fun for me to go back and think through how I started wearing makeup and what I started dabbling in and what pieces I started implementing. And so I'm having a little nostalgia as we go through, and I'm gonna take us through the makeup that I fell in love with first and the ways that I found my own joy and self-expression through makeup. And so, yeah, we're starting on eyes a lot, which is also really great because when I asked folks what they wanted to learn or what they wanted to focus on, there are a lot of folks who are still wearing masks on a daily basis at work who want to be able to look good with that mask on. So starting with the eyes is actually a great place to start these days. If you haven't already, please like and comment and subscribe to this channel. I love being able to create content with you all. I love hearing back from folks about what is working for them, what's landing with them, things that they're trying out. It warms my heart that people are excited about this conversation as much as I am, so that I'm not just alone in my beauty room having fun with makeup, but I feel like I'm building a little community of makeup lovers and folks who really want to make up for lost time. I can't get over that title. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you next week.